Welcome to Creepin' It Real. I am Judah. Let's talk about the Hong Kong action horror film known as The Seventh Curse. This is going to be a short review today. When I was looking online, there was not a lot of information that I could find on IMDb. I mean, there was stuff there, but there were 0 reviews left there. And Rotten Tomatoes, there were not a ton of reviews. But this movie deserves to be talked about. Let's watch this trailer. I'll make my comments. I will be pausing. By the way, I could not find a trailer that had English subtitles on it. Yeah. This just cracks me up, this trailer. The beginning of this trailer just... it sets the tone so differently than the movie, but it makes me laugh. The music in particular is fantastic. Okay, so from what I read, this movie is based off of a book series, and this is the actual author of the book series who is making an appearance here in the movie. This is how the movie starts off. We got this guy surrounded by a bunch of beautiful women, fancy party, and they're all like, essentially, I'm overplaying it a little bit, but they're kind of fawning over him, like wanting him to tell a story, and they're asking him if the stories are true. And he goes on to say, well, you know, if you spend time with any amount of people, if you give them a chance to talk about themselves, everybody is going to have some kind of interesting story to tell. And then he points to the 2 guys that collect the glasses at the beginning of the movie, of this trailer. And he's like, take these 2, for instance. They always have some adventures to talk about, which then we go into this, I guess it would be a flashback because they start telling a story. Well, this guy here starts telling their story. So it's not like we are actually watching them as it occurs. It's just him telling something that has already happened in their life. One of the oddest things for me is, you know, that he's telling these people a story, but in the middle of the story, there's a flashback, which made me laugh. I was like, that is so weird. There's a flashback within a flashback. All that nonsense. Anyway, all that just to say, this is the actual author of these series of books. And from what I read, it sounds like there's definitely more than one book. And in fact, there is a series of books based solely on the character that Chow Yun-fat plays in this movie. In this movie, he's just kind of like a sidekick who has a small part to play, in my opinion. But let's get back to this trailer. This lovemaking scene that they just showed you. This guy comes home from a party, and he's schmoozing on women at this party. But then he comes home, and there's a woman there, like, getting undressed. And then suddenly he's attacked by some guy. There's this big battle, and I have never seen more glass tables in one person's house. It made me laugh. It was like every possible table in this guy's house had to be glass, and somebody was getting thrown on it, into it, bashed over their head, but they were all glass. Then suddenly, as fast as this battle begins, it ends with this guy stopping his attack, and he's just like, you need to come back to Thailand, and then just disappears. Then this lady that he was having sex with runs over to him, and she's like, I'm scared. Who was that man? I am not joking. This is how fast it happened. I'm scared. Who was that man? Like instantaneous, just like making out. And then you see shadow on the wall of them getting naked and getting it on. And then obviously they cut to the bed scene. But if she didn't want answers to those questions, why did she ask and then immediately like slide her tongue down this dude's throat? It made no sense to me. It made me laugh. I mean, oh my gosh, I was dying laughing. But I mean, if she was really that scared and concerned, I mean, it obviously did not curb her horniness or something. Anyway, back to the trailer. I know I've seen this lady in several movies because I actually enjoy myself some kung fu movies.
維生，你對巫術認識咁深，我有冇得救？血就係巫術之中最神秘同埋最複雜。
Right here, this guy that has the blood curse has come to his friend to explain to him the situation. This is where the flashback within the flashback occurs. He's like, hey, I'm cursed. I don't know what to do. And Chow Yun-fat's like, well, explain it all to me. So he goes into this flashback and talks about how he got involved in this tribe, saved that chick from the sacrifice, and then he was cursed. So anyway, and Chow Yun-fat's like, well, even though I am an expert on sorcery, witchcraft, and curses, the best I can tell you is you're going to have to go back to Thailand and find the person who put this curse on you because they are the only one who can remove it. As they're having this conversation, the blood curse kicks in again and randomly blows out of his other leg. And they treat it just like it's like a non-issue completely. Like literally just blows out and he's like, oh, my leg. And that was like the most attention that they gave to it. Really weird. Really, I love I just love how the reaction to suddenly his blood vessels bursting open, they like vary greatly in reaction. It's like, it's either like, no big deal, or, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world, which I personally think every time it happened would feel that way. But oh, I loved this. Oh, it was so great. So there's some crazy monster in this. They called it like the blood ghost or something. And this sorcerer, he has control over it. But every 3 years, he has to sacrifice 100 children to regain control. And they just have this press. They just dump these kids in this press and they just crush them. It's not funny. It's not funny. If this was real, that's not funny. But the whole idea of this thing just cracks me up. Just put them in there and we'll just crush. It's like a juicer for children in a way, because there's even like a little plug on the side that he opens and all the blood pours into a cup. It's insane. Oh, I feel horrible that I'm laughing, but the whole visuals of it was just so funny. But also, on a side note, every 3 years, 100 kids, could a population even handle that kind of a devastating loss? I mean, that to me seems like 100 kids every 3 years. Can a society even, depending on how big the community was, I'm not even sure they could replenish that many kids in 3 years. And then eventually you'd run out of youngsters too. It's like the people that you aren't sacrificing are going to die or age out of being able to have kids. It just seems unsustainable, but that's not really something the movie is concerned with. This is the guy who randomly attacked the dude in his apartment, and then they become fast friends, just like fast friends. They're trying to kill each other, but then just suddenly they're like buddies. To heal themselves of this curse, him and this other woman have a curse on them. They have to get the eyes out of this massive Buddha statue. So that's what they're doing. They're climbing this Buddha statue to get the thing that can cure the curse. But there's a time limit. Once they pull these things out of the eye, they only have like 6 hours to do what they need to do to cure the curse. But apparently what you have to do is swallow these things that come out of the eye. And they aren't small. We're talking the size of a tennis ball. They pull out the first one, and this guy tells the other guy, he's like, quick, take it to heal your curse. And he like knocks the dirt off of it. And this thing is like freaking huge. And he's like, swallow it. And I'm thinking, swallow it? How can he even get that into his mouth? Anyway, he's a champ. He swallows it. Oh, there's that. Ooh, yeah. Oh. Okay, so here's the thing. I love practical effects. Oh my gosh, I love practical effects. And these are some of the cheesiest practical effects, and I love them. They're just so fantastically cheesy. But at the same time, they go from cheesy to then there's like these amazing, like, there's this ancestor, this ancient ancestor that this tribe sacrifices to, and it's just like a skeleton, basically a skeleton that has glowing blue eyes, but at the same time it has kung fu skills, and it's very funny to watch this skeleton that does still have some skin on it, some dried skin on it, so it's not full on, white skeleton. It has some flesh on it. Watching this thing do kung fu is quite humorous. But then it transforms into like a monster. And the monster is just as goofy as the skeleton, but the practical effects for the transition, I was like, wow. I was really impressed. And I was like, I like this stuff. This is so fun to me. This is why I watch these movies, is for this goofiness. So let's get back to this. This is the transformation, by the way, of the skeleton into the monster. That thing on its back was the blood ghost. This is the sorcerer, by the way. He has all these people standing up here trying to decide who's going to be sacrificed to the ancestor. And he holds this dagger up, and when it glows bright, then that means that the ancestor has chosen them as a sacrifice. But this girl right here, and this is the girl that guy saves from being sacrificed, she is the daughter of, like, their late chief or something like that. And so the tribe isn't real thrilled that she has been selected. However, you do pick up on the fact that this wizard, it appears that he has been trying to get this girl to marry him or become his partner or something, and she refuses to. So you kind of get the feeling that he can control who gets picked for the sacrifice. So she has rebuffed his advances, and now it's time for him to take his revenge. See, here's the guy. He's like, bro, we can't sacrifice her. That's the daughter of the late chief. And he summons the blood baby to nom nom on his neck. Shut the hell up! That's the ancestor right there. I love he comes in here, the freaking bazooka. Every one of those monks were like ripped. They were just freaking shredded. I wish I was shredded. Instead, I'm just fat and flabby. This is how the movie, towards the beginning, there is a hostage situation. You can see that big SWAT team back there. And you can tell that those who are holding the hostages pretty much have all the cards at this point. Okay. It's so funny. It's absurd is what it is. But apparently the head of this group of terrorists, I'm just going to call them terrorists. I don't really know what they are, but these people that have the hostages, apparently he has some heart trouble. So one of their demands is get us a doctor because our leader in here has heart trouble. Why? You would announce this for one to the SWAT team, or it's just like, okay, well, now we know we hold the cards and we'll just wait it out and your leader will die or something. I don't know. Or unless they were threatening, we'll kill a hostage every minute that you don't get a doctor here. So then they call in this dude right here he's not a police officer or anything. He shows up and he's like, why have you called me here? And they're like, well, we heard that you're a renowned adventurer and thought we could use your help. And I just died laughing. Is that how it goes now? We heard a rumor. My sister's boyfriend said that he heard a story about you, that you're not afraid of spiders. So we called you to come take care of this situation for us. Anyway, it just seemed absurd and made me laugh inside. But this whole movie is absurd. And I still enjoyed it. So don't let my nitpicks dissuade you from watching this movie because it is the best kind of bad. It's fantastic. He goes in there and obviously because he's an adventurer, he takes care of the situation just like the SWAT team knew he would because they had nobody on their team that could take care of the situation. So thank God his sister's brother's babysitter knew about this guy. Once again, this is a bad movie, but it is fun. And this is what I'm looking for. This is the kind of stuff I'm looking for. I've had people leave me notes that comments. It feels like they're frustrated that I call these campy, cheesy movies bad. And they'll leave comments like, just because the effects are antiquated doesn't make it a bad movie. And I'm adding my tone to it because that's how I read it. I'm projecting onto it. And I agree. It doesn't. I prefer these effects over this trash, computer graphics. Computer graphics should just be there to help things along. It shouldn't be the main focus because they are so hideous. Okay. I mean, you use the practical effects and it's just like the CG should just kind of be the frosting. You shouldn't have frosting without the cake. It's sickening. Anyway, just because I call this a bad movie doesn't mean I don't love it. I think this should be experienced by people who enjoy this type of thing. The so bad it's good, because that's what this is. I'm still only going to give this a 6 out of 10. And I've mentioned before, I don't think there are any 10 out of 10 movies out there. I think this movie, even though I'm not sure it takes itself serious, it is so goofy, and I love it. There is, I would say there's quite a bit of nudity in it. Just so keep that in mind if that's something that you like to know about, either because you want to see it or because you like to avoid it. There's a very long wet t-shirt scene, and then there's 2 scenes where a woman disrobes. Now, when I saw parts of this movie on the Cobweb channel, like I said, I immediately wanted to see this. So I started searching for where I could stream it. And I honestly, the only place I could find to stream it at that time was a channel that I can get on Roku called Midnight Cult. Now, I've had experience with Midnight Cult. They have some fun, difficult to get a hold of movies, but the advertisement situation is insane. I mean, it's so insane. We're talking maybe you get to watch 2 minutes of the movie. I may be over-exaggerating, but this is what it feels like. You get to watch 2 minutes of the movie, and then you have 6 advertisements. It's just way more than I can handle. So when I saw that was like the only place that I could watch it at that time, I was like, dude, this is horrible. And also, I just, searched the web to see if anybody like YouTube or Daily Motion or something had it on there, and I couldn't find it. Oddly enough, today, when I was looking for the trailer, I saw a couple places had this movie. But, I didn't open them. It is very possible that they didn't have English subtitles. So, anyway, I decided to purchase this. Now, is this a movie I would purchase? It's not. But I'm also not one of those big... I do think physical media is important. I'm not one of these people who have jumped into let's get rid of physical media and let's go all digital. I don't like that, especially with the weirdness of these companies that are like, you don't own the rights to this. We can do whatever we want. We can revoke your ownership of this digital stuff. Also, people like Disney who will go in and they will edit movies so that it's more tasteful for, a modern day audience, which is just BS. They should not be doing that. So you can't get things in their original form unless you have physical media, which you can keep control over and not have, Big Brother or Big Mickey coming in and deciding that they want to edit things because it's disturbing to their modern sensibility. Anyway, so Vinegar Syndrome had it. Boop, boop, beep. Double feature along with Witch from Nepal, as you can see here. But I mentioned I wouldn't generally purchase this, but from that trailer, I was like, this looks crazy. I need to get this thing. So it comes in this box. Here it is. It has a booklet that comes with it, and then we got Chow Yun Fat with his bazooka, his rocket launcher there, smoking a pipe, which I love. It cracks me up. And then on the other, we got the other guy on that side. Now, the booklet, I haven't spent a lot of time looking at it, but I did flip through it somewhat. And it's just, for the most part, I haven't read any of this stuff, but most of it just seems like it's just filler. If you want to take a like just essentially what I'm going to call blank pages with just photos on it. I mean, like there's a lot of information right there. And I haven't taken the time to read it, but look at all that just filler right there. So to me, I'm kind of like, that seems lame, but I haven't read any of it. I want to keep mentioning that I haven't read any of it. I'm not saying not to purchase this, but for me, as someone who generally does not buy physical media when it comes to movies, but I am a big proponent of buying physical media when it comes to video games, I hate the idea of only having digital downloads of video games. So I totally get people who want to buy the physical discs. But I don't know, for me, if there's enough here, other than me just wanting to watch the movie, to say, hey, go to Vinegar Syndrome and buy yourself a copy. But that's it. Right there. I have nothing else to say. I couldn't find any reviews on IMDb for this movie for me to give a counter of somebody who thought that this movie was trash. When I went to Rotten Tomatoes, there was very few reviews, but honestly, most of them were, I can't remember. It's 5. I think Rotten Tomatoes does the star system, 5 stars. Most of them were in the 3.5 to 4 stars. And that's a decent rating. So for me, if you're a big fan of campy stuff, if you are a fan of kung fu movies, if you're a fan of action movies, if you like practical effects, I would say give this a try. If you can find it somewhere to stream, I would do that. But, as I just showed you, from Vinegar Syndrome, you get that double feature, The Seventh Curse and The Witch from Nepal. Thanks for watching. I'm Judah, and I'll see you next time.